Good morning. My name is Keith Goddard. I'm the Communications and Public Relations Specialist with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, better known as Cdema. I wish to welcome members of the media and social media platforms to our second media conference following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. As you know, Hurricane Beryl is now out of the Caribbean, and the focus now in the region, particularly now, is on the relief and response. I'm pleased to have with me this morning our Executive Director, Ms. Elizabeth Riley, who is not in studio with me, but is on the ground in St. Vincent. I'm going to have Ms. Riley give us an update on where we're at with those relief and response exercises, and after we'll take some questions from the media. Good morning, Ms. Riley.
Good morning, Keith, and good morning to members of the media across the Caribbean. Thank you very much for joining us. I am here live in Union Island in the Grenadines of St. Vincent, and I want to start again by just to express our continued solidarity with the governments and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. So today I want to give you an updated picture of what has been happening with respect to the support to the affected islands. And I will start first with mainland St. Vincent and then speak a little bit about the Grenadines. So with respect to mainland St. Vincent, we can confirm that there are approximately 40 shelters open with 755 shelterees. Relief supplies are being distributed to affected communities, not just in mainland St. Vincent, but also in the Grenadines. And the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines continues its close collaboration with regional as well as international partners. With respect to the Grenadine Islands, as you can well imagine, the damage assessment process is now very well underway, and I will say a little bit later on the specific input of the Cdema Regional Response, Coordinated Regional Response Mechanism. So with respect to Union Island, we can confirm that there has been approximately 98% damage to buildings and structures on the island, and this includes, with respect to housing, approximately 95% damage to buildings and structures on Petit St. Vincent as well as Canouan. And we know that about 30% of the population on Bequia has been impacted, and a similar percentage for mainland St. Vincent. 100% of the persons on Union Island, Canouan, have been in fact impacted as well. And of course, the priority needs of the states has been changing somewhat, and there is an updated needs list that has been prepared by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we issued this yesterday on the Cdema updated situation report, and it's certainly available via our website. With respect to Grenada, we do know that the state of emergency was discontinued for mainland Grenada, and the National Emergency Operations Center continues to be activated. With respect to the damage assessments, these are also very much ongoing, and there has been an initial move towards cleanup similar to within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We do have surge support being provided through the Regional Response Mechanism. This is coordinated by Cdema, but supported by our participating states, as well as regional and international institutions as well. I will say a little bit more on the specifics of the regional deployments in a few moments. With respect to Carriacou and Petite Martinique, persons should note that the state of emergency remains in effect for these islands as indicated by the government of Grenada. The airport and seaport in Carriacou, these are operational and in fact are accommodating flights as well as vessels. The jetty in Petit Martinique is also being used, and as such, this is the modality by which relief items are being distributed to that island, as there's no airstrip. Access is just by boat. As I mentioned, the shelters remain activated, and members of the National Shelter Management Committee visited the facilities on Carriacou on the 6th of July to assess the situation there. There is active relief distribution as the supplies are very much beginning to flow in to the countries as well. With respect to communications, there is a satellite phone service as well as VHF radio connections. These have been established at the Carriacou District Emergency Operations Center, and there's also satellite phone service on Petit Martinique. So there is better connectivity than when we spoke a few days ago. We do have a health team from the mainland of Grenada, which travels daily to Petit Martinique, and this is, of course, important. We want to make sure that the affected population can have access to requisite care. A field hospital has been set up in Carriacou by Samaritan's Purse, which is one of the big international NGOs, and that is operational, and we thank them for providing that support to the government of Grenada. We do have a regional security system contingent, which has arrived and is stationed on Carriacou, and similarly, we have this type of support being provided to St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well. We have received specific guidance from the government of Grenada with respect to relief. We do have the details on our website, but we note that all relief items entering Grenada are to be addressed or consigned, if you are looking at the shipping, to the National Disaster Management Agency called NADMA, and relief supplies coming in and addressed to individuals or other organizations, persons are asked to note that these will be treated as normal goods unless they are consigned to NADMA. So please be aware of this. Also be aware that in terms of ships or marine vessels which are arriving in Grenada, you are expected to report to the port of St. George's before proceeding onwards within the Tri-Island state. So with respect to the update on the response, through the regional response mechanism, we have been interacting at the political level, and Cdema prepared a Savingram, which is essentially an official communication of the Caribbean community on the impact of Hurricane Beryl to its participating states. And I think most of you are aware that there were actually 10 of the 20 Cdema participating states under threat from this system. So a full report was provided to the heads of government of CARICOM, and we also made specific recommendations for the consideration of the heads of government with respect to support to the participating states that have been most severely affected. We're happy to say that we have coordinated the deployment of rapid needs assessment teams, and all teams that have been deployed have been done on request from the affected governments. So the rapid needs assessment teams are concluding their work both in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as within Grenada. We have CARICOM operational support teams. These are persons who support the national personnel with the actual coordination of response on the ground. And we have had tremendous support from a number of the Cdema participating states to allow us to put these additional bodies on the ground. As you can well imagine, there are many demands on the national personnel in coordinating such a response, and there is a requirement for relief, periodic relief, to allow the operations to continue to go. We also have the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, called the CDRU, which is coordinated in collaboration with the regional security system. And I must say a special thanks to the RSS, who have been doing a tremendous job, not only in coordinating the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, but also in facilitating many aspects of the logistics, both air as well as maritime, and really harnessing the resources available through the regional militaries and the militaries of the RSS. So thank you very much for this. So the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit is currently stationed both in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Union Island, as well as on Canuan, and in Grenada on Carriacou. The deployments, and you realize these are extensive, are being supported by the Caribbean Development Bank as well as the governments of the United Kingdom and Canada. And we want to say a special thank you to them for making this happen. Last time I had mentioned a transshipment hub, which was set up at the Bridgetown port. So this hub has been fully operationalized. This was done collaboratively between Cdema and the World Food Program with the support of the Bridgetown port. And we have, in fact, dispatched the first shipment of the family packages, which were assembled in that space, and the delivery has already been made here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and is scheduled for delivery today in Carriacou. Our Regional Coordination Center remains activated to support the participating states, and a special thanks to the full team at the Cdema Coordinating Unit, as well as all of the partners who have been supporting us in our Regional Coordination Center, including the World Food Program, have been working very well with us on the logistics related matters, and also a number of other UN agencies on matters of shelter, and Caribbean agencies on water, sanitation, and health, etc. And I'll highlight a few of those in a few minutes. So there were 2,600 food kits prepared and dispatched to Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines over the 7th to the 8th of July. And thank you to the Barbados Defense Force, the volunteers from the Barbados Red Cross, the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme, Rotary Barbados, Canadian Women's Club of Barbados, Red Advertising, and Church of the Application, who all provided volunteers for that effort. We really appreciate it. With respect to emergency telecommunications, the CARICOM Emergency Telecommunications Team was deployed to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we do now have much better connectivity, and I spoke a little bit about that earlier. I want to mention that with respect to the movement of the rapid needs assessment teams, we have also received support from the Guyana Defense Force Air Corps, and this is very much appreciated as well. And in addition, the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard also supported a number of the humanitarian movements for us, and we do appreciate it. So on the ground with the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, we have representation from the Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force, the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda, the Barbados Defense Force, the Barbados Fire Service is also on the ground. We also have representation out of St. Lucia as well. So thank you to all of those countries. And yesterday, we also deployed personnel from the Guyana Defense Force as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. So thank you very much to all countries who have been so willing to provide that support. The CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit has also commenced the establishment of a logistics hub on Union Island. And as you know, their function is to support the national authorities with the reception, tracking, as well as the distribution of relief items. So this is well underway. There's a base camp that has been established, and as well as warehousing facilities are being set up. And we thank also the French vessel, the Dumont d'Urville, which provided relief supplies to a number of the Grenadine islands. I Should also mention that we have on the ground representation from Dominica in the Dominica Fire Service as well. On the operational support team representation, we have 2 persons still stationed in Grenada, with a third being deployed today at the request of the government. And with respect to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we will have personnel on the ground today from Barbados and also 1 or 2 other islands still just being firmed up today to support the National Emergency Operations Center. So I know persons will well appreciate that the security is an important consideration in humanitarian relief. And we thank the Regional Security System and CARICOM Impacts for coordinating with the force commands across the region. We have a 58-member security team that has been deployed across the 2 territories that have been worst affected, 26 persons on Grenada and the Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have 32 persons stationed on this island. So, in terms of support from participating states and partners, I want to recognize contributions. I won't go into the full details of these. If there are any questions, you can certainly ask me, and they're captured in full in our daily situation reports as well. But we do have specific pledges of support from the government of Anguilla, the governments of Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, and more pledges are coming formally from the heads of state of these Cdema countries, and we thank them. With respect to air transport, we want to thank Airlink, which has facilitated states for us, and also the movement of humanitarian actors, Global Empowerment Mission, which has facilitated the supply of relief supplies as well. The CARICOM Public Health Agency, CARFA, has been working assiduously within the Rapid Needs Assessment team and providing advisory services to ministries of health, and that will continue this week. As you know, the health-related matters are very important. When we have matters of displacement, we have to monitor the health of the population and ensure that the conditions are conducive to those persons who are already impacted, not being worse impacted by health-related matters. The Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the CARICOM, quite active, and the latter has facilitated the coordination of relief movements from a number of the CARICOM states. We want to specifically thank the Goddard's Group, which has graciously provided additional warehousing space to support the National Emergency Management Organization here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, both for food items as well as building materials. Thank you very much to the private sector. The CARICOM Regional Fisheries Mechanism, Caribbean Tourism Organization, or Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Facility, Segregated Portfolio Company, is assessing the possibility of payouts. We have tremendous support from Global Support and Development, an international non-governmental organization, which is supporting right here in Union with providing water to the affected population and a wide range of technical support. They're also providing air assets for the movement of humanitarian workers, so thanks very much, as well as providing humanitarian non-food items. IOM, the International Organization for Migration, MAP Action, HOT OSM, Tropical Shipping, which continues to support us in the movement of relief supplies, zero rated. We really value this private sector partnership. We've been working closely with the Pan American Health Organization. REACT Disaster Response is on the ground. And I mentioned previous UK FCDO, which in addition to providing financial support, has also delivered relief supplies to both territories. And additional financial support has also been released for the Barrow response. With respect to the UN, we have a number of UN partners on the ground supporting UN OCHA, which is deployed out to both islands, including providing a base camp. And of course, provision of space for operation is really critical at this time, given damage to buildings, as well as specific specialists. UNICEF is also on the ground facilitating the rapid needs assessment, as well as providing dignity kits for persons impacted. And we have numerous other UN agencies who are working very closely with us. USAID has jumped in as well, and there are a number of areas of support being provided through field teams, financial support, and as well as providing assistance for water, sanitation, and health materials through various avenues, including the Red Cross. We also want to thank the Embassy of Japan, which will be delivering food supplies from the 10th of July, and they are targeting that support to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So as I wrap up the update for today, I just want to give a reminder to members of the public, and first to say thank you very much for all the support you've been providing. It is very much needed and appreciated. And we want to emphasize that within the Cdema participating states, that we want to ensure that all persons providing support are coordinating well. National emergency management coordinators in your countries, as they are the focal points for coordination. And the coordination is very key. You can well imagine that we want to ensure that any valuable support that you're providing is notified to the recipient state so that they can make the relevant provision to receive it and also to facilitate distribution. Both Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have expressed a preference for cash donations to the general public. So we are encouraging cash donations. We have made available via all of the Cdema social media sites, as well as on the government websites of both countries, the information on how to access those accounts and to make deposits. If you wish to provide financial support to Cdema for the continuation of the response operations, we've also made our emergency assistance fund information available to you. So please make sure to check that. With respect to needs lists, so needs lists have been updated by the governments, and persons need to be very mindful that needs lists change on a daily basis. So there will be items for which the requirements have already been satisfied, and you will see that those items will then be removed from the needs list. And this is a part of the reason why there's remember that commerce is still very much operational in the mainlands of Grenada, as well as St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And in the midst of emergencies, it is very important for us to make all efforts to keep the economies of these countries going wrong. So if you can make purchases within the states that have been affected in King or in St. George, Grenada, it is preferable that we do so. And I think it is very much understandable why we would want to do this and prefer to do this as opposed to necessarily bringing items in. Certainly the items that can be items that can be sourced in country, we want to get them in country. There will be items that we cannot access in these countries, things like cots, and sometimes tarpaulin is not readily available in the States now, since many persons might have made purchases. But I think you understand what I mean in trying to purchase what is available and on the needs list in country, and things that are not available in country we can access from outside. So I will stop there, and I am certainly available to take any questions that you will have. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability and based on the information that is known today. Back over to you, Keith.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reddy, for that very comprehensive update on the response and relief efforts both in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada as well. Very comprehensive. We'll now turn our attention to the members of the media who are online. And we will ask that you indicate your media house and your name, and you can go ahead with your question. So let's see who we have online. I see, is it Jacqueline Charles?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Hi, Jacqueline.
I have two questions. One, and I'm with the Miami Herald. Sorry, Caribbean correspondent with the Miami Herald.
Let me just
Um,
make sure that our executive directors hear you. Are you able to hear her?
It's through slightly low, but I can make out what is said. She can go ahead. Please go
Go
ahead,
ahead with your
Jacqueline.
question, Jacqueline.
okay. So two questions. One, I know that we're still trying. We don't have the complete final numbers in terms of deaths, but when we look at the impact of this hurricane, one would have imagined that we probably would have seen a higher death toll. So given that, I'm just wondering, is it because people really are starting to take these hurricanes seriously, or what would you attribute that to? And the second question is, we've received calls from people in the diaspora who are not too happy about the fact that Grenada specifically is charging normal taxes, duties on things that are being sent in. And I'm just wondering if you all could elaborate on that. I understand that we need economies to continue to run, but given the impact of the disaster, people would like to be able to send things directly to their families, but saying that now they're being charged duties on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Jacqueline. So I'll start with the latter question. So we're very much guided by the governance of the impacted states with respect to the provisions that are being made. So the information that we relay is the information that we've received from the states. So beyond that, I'm not in a position to shed any further with respect to the matter of loss of life, which I think was the question. So loss of life has not been a significant indicator in the English speaking Caribbean states for many years. And part of the reason is related to the fact that the early warning arrangements related to cyclone are quite good in part of the world. And I also believe that persons have understood that there are ways in which you can protect yourself even if your roof is lost. So it may be a matter of securing yourself under a very heavy, sturdy piece of furniture. I know persons who have been able to survive safely through catastrophic level events by doing this, or securing themselves in a bathtub or even in a closet. So it is, I think, a very thankful thing that we've not had significant loss of life. And I am certainly hoping that as we go forward in this season, that the number of fatalities will be very low or not existent in the future events.
Jacqueline, if you may repeat your second question because I know, given some technical.
No, she answered both of them. She answered both. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other any other questions?
Hi, good morning. Berthany McDermott from Our News, Bahamas.
I think we have Bartholomew McDermott. I think he's from the Bahamas. Go ahead with your question, Bartholomew.
Thank you, Berthany McDermott, Our News, Bahamas. I have two questions. The first, are you able to, now that you are on the ground, are you able to speak to or give an assessment? I don't know if maybe the governments have indicated an estimate of the cost of damage that was caused by Beryl. You mentioned 98% of damage to buildings in some areas, and you outline some others as well. Are you able to give an estimate of how much this will cost to get them to get back to a place of normalcy? Also, last week, when in the last Cdema press conference, you spoke about the situation in Haiti affecting efforts there. Are you able to give an update as to if anything has changed? Um, has officials there been able to do anything in terms of assisting individuals in Haiti that may have been affected by the passage of Beryl? I know Beryl didn't hit them directly, but they would have gotten some impacts with winds and rains and to that effect.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll take the second question first. With respect to Haiti, we are expecting a situation report from Haiti. We've not received that as yet. And once that is available, we will integrate it into our situation report so persons are aware as to what took place in Haiti. With respect to the matter of the cost of the damage and cost of recovery, we are really in very early days. And the damage assessment process has really just started. The rapid needs assessment teams are just coming to the point of wrapping up their work. And once that is completed, you will get some initial figures, but the governments will, I am sure, will also be undertaking more comprehensive assessments to put a better fix on the damage and loss costs, as well as the expected costs related to the recovery. So if those figures are not available as yet.
I have a question here. It says, in responding to this early powerful storm, are there any recommendations Cdema can make to member countries?
Well, I would salute, the basis of the work that we do is about building resilience. And we have been encouraging participating states, and we will continue to do so, the integration of resilience at the sectoral level, particularly as it relates to our economic and social sectors in the region, like education, health. These things are critical. So when we are placing investments in new infrastructure, such as new schools, design criteria is absolutely important. And as we have recognized with climate change, the requirements for criteria have also shifted. So these are some of the areas I would definitely encourage when it comes to construction of homes. The design criteria, which is outlined in building codes and building standards, is important. With respect to recovery, it is important for countries to plan for recovery well ahead of events happening so that we can really shorten that time frame between when an event takes place and when recovery actions can kick in a well coordinated way. So I think there are many areas that can be looked at. There are many lessons, certainly for the regional system, which is coordinated by Cdema. We will be doing an after action review on how we've been able to respond to this event and to see how we can improve. And in my view, there's always room for improvement, and every event is unique, and there's always a space for learning so that we can better going forward. This is both at the national as well as level.
Edie, I know you're on the ground there in St. Vincent, and everybody has different perspectives of what they see. But can you paint a picture for us as to what what you've seen on the ground for us? Just give us a clear picture of what you've seen from your position.
Yeah, sure. So today I had the opportunity to visit Canwan, and we were able to go on the ground, speak to residents. What I can tell you is that I am so encouraged by the spirit of resilience of Caribbean people. I think I've lost the. Am I back?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Edie. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. So I was saying that I am so encouraged by the spirit of Caribbean people. On Canuan, persons are out, they are about, they are starting the cleanup. I have noticed that there was separation of debris, putting wooden debris together, separating from metal type debris, and this is very important for just management of the debris going forward. Persons have already started the process of looking at options for the repair of their homes. We visited the main distribution relief distribution center on Canuan, and Sergeant Tim from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, who is overseeing the operations there. She was able to give a very clear picture of the arrangements for the relief on island, and the structures are there in getting the relief out to the population, and the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit there in the distribution center doing the work that they needed to do. So I was really encouraged by the scenes on Canoan today. I had just landed in Union Island just before the press conference, so I've not been able to walk around here, but I'm at the base camp, which has been set up by the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, as well as the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force here at the airport location on Union Island. And I can see that there's very good signs of organization in terms of the storage of the relief items that have been received and how they're organized. And I've not done the tours yet. I will be doing that shortly. Later today, I will also be getting out fully on the ground here in Union, taking the opportunity to speak to the residents and also to the Cdema teams that are on the ground to see how things are going, if there are any opportunities for us to improve the support delivery here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to make sure that we can respond to those needs as promptly as possible.
Thank you, Edie. I have a question from Nisha Peters, a freelance journalist in Grenada, and she asks, will Cdema be coordinating with the Grenada government to implement a construction standard for the houses that will be built in Carriacou and Petit Martinique?
Yes, so we have been doing work with all Cdema governments prior to Beryl on the matter of safe construction. And at the last press conference, I mentioned the revised code of practice for the safe construction of residential homes, which we have done collaboratively with the Caribbean Development Bank, the OECS, as well as the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality. So certainly the guidance that is found within that new code of practice from the Cdema side, we will certainly be promoting that. In fact, just last night, I had a discussion with the Honorable Prime Minister here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the matters of safe construction. And I will be meeting him here on the ground. He should be on the ground within another 15 minutes or so here in Union. and we agreed to talk further on some of these matters. But absolutely, the promotion of the safe construction is very much forefront of our mind, and it's about resilient recovery. We have to ensure that when we build back, we are building back better than we did before.
I have a question out of Guyana, and this is Dinley Raphael, and she's asking: are there any reports of any health outbreaks in any of the islands?
At this time, no, there are no reports thereof. I was in the Emergency Operations Center last night, a brief from the National Emergency Management Coordinator when I arrived, and there are no such reports.
Okay. Ryan Hamilton Davis out of Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. He asks, can you speak on the cost of preparing for hurricanes? Have you noticed an increase or decrease in disaster preparedness for hurricanes in the Caribbean?
Okay, so I would say that in the general populations across the region, there is definite awareness. And certainly the impact of barrel. And I really want to thank the media also for bringing the stories of the persons who have been affected to the broader Caribbean population, because this really assists with, I would say, bringing home the reality of the types of impacts that any of us can suffer. We are all vulnerable to it. So, with the increased media coverage and really highlighting the importance of being resilient, the importance of individual preparedness, which complements the efforts of governments, it is heightening the awareness across the region. What I can also say is that we also get scenarios of heightened preparation in states which have recent experiences. It is always higher in those as compared to states which have not had recent events.
I see Jesse Ramdale with his hand. Jesse, go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Jesse Ramdale, CNC3 News out in Trinidad and Tobago. Just want to firstly recognize the efforts being made by Cdema and the rest of the regions and the teams for their hard work. So thank you very much for that in providing relief and aid to our brothers and sisters. Miss Riley, really quickly, two questions. Has there been any updated figure as it relates to the death toll caused by beryl in the Caribbean? And just based on your own assessment, what's been for you the biggest takeaway from this natural disaster?
Well, first, thank you so much for the words. And I know that resonates very well with the entire Cdema coordinating unit team, as well as all the partners that work with us. So I appreciate that. With respect to death toll, I do not have updated figures on that, but once those are available, we can make them available via our situation report. And I believe there was a third component to the question. Could you just repeat that for me?
The second part of the question, ma'am, was what for you as the executive director of Cdema, what would have been your biggest takeaway from this natural disaster?
I would say it is linked to the importance of focusing on building resilience. You know, for Cdema has been putting the importance of being resilient as a people and resilient with respect to our practices, including our and there are many mentions of resilience. It has to do with the mental conditioning of our population, really making sure that our residents are aware but also accept the level of vulnerability that we face living in the regions that we do, and the realization that what we have seen happen by Beryl is likely to be a common picture future going forward. One of the things that the meteorologists, told us at the start of the season was about the risk of rapid intensification of systems. We knew we had record high temperatures in the Atlantic as well as in the Caribbean Sea. And those predictions were fully borne out with Beryl, where we saw a rapid intensification from a tropical depression all the way through to a Category 5 system in a few short days. And these are the realities that we're going to be facing. So for me, the take is about how we as an organization, Cdema, can position ourselves to really be ready for the future. And this is a part of what we have integrated as a team into our strategic plan for the period up to 2027. And it's going to be absolutely critical that we step up our own capabilities in the region. Our ability to help ourselves is going to continue to be very, very critical. And this is why I keep emphasizing my thanks to our participating states of the Cdema system and to the governments in particular, because we have to stand together as a region. Both the countries as well as the institutions of the region, we have to really hold strong together and be prepared to assist each other with the support of our external partners. But this arrangement that we have in the region under the regional response mechanism, it is unique and it works. And I want to thank all parties across our Caribbean space who support it and make it successful.
Thank you, Jesse. Edie, I know you have some meetings on the ground to attend to. We have one more question that we'll take from Jay. Can you go ahead with your question, Jay?
How prepared is Cdema for potential June impact within the Caribbean region? We know two islands at this point in time are basically devastated. And I'm just preempting here. What if another major hurricane is to impact the region? How prepared is Cdema to deal with those two threats? One, in terms of preparations, can you just give us a sense and a feedback in terms of how prepared were many of the territories, whether it be here in St. Kitts and Nevis, whether it be St. Vincent, Grenada, Barbados, those other territories? And finally, can you give us a sense in terms of Jamaica, where the latest update from underground over there?
Okay, so with respect to Cdema readiness for the rest of the hurricane season, I would say from a human resource perspective, our horizontal cooperation arrangements, we have seen again that they have worked and worked, I would say, pretty well. With respect to regional stocks, we do have to do some restocking of supplies because we had to, of course, take needed items from our sub-regional warehouses, and we will have to restock. And we've already started that conversation with partners to see how that will take place. Overall picture of readiness across the Cdema states, I think it is varied. And even within states, readiness is varied because the readiness of a state is really a reflection of the readiness of individuals. There's an individual responsibility for preparedness and readiness. It translates into the level of readiness at the community level because individuals make up the community and communities make up a nation. So across the region, you will get a mixed picture with respect to the level of readiness. I do think on the positive side that we as a Caribbean people are becoming, as I mentioned before, much more aware of the need to be prepared, to be individually ready, and to take the guidance of the National Emergency Management Offices seriously. I think we are moving on the right trajectory, maybe not at the speed that we need to move, but we are on the right trajectory. With respect to Jamaica, we have had some updates from Jamaica. I think the last situation report may have been about 2 or 3 days ago. So we are expecting an updated report from Jamaica. We were aware from the last briefing provided by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management that there were some challenges with respect to the electricity supply across the island. I believe at the last situation report, it was about 40% of the customers to whom supply still had to be restored. But since that was dated by about 2-3 days, we would expect that that position would have improved. We did have an indication that there was some instance of roses, and these were reported island-wide, but we understand that the greatest geographical areas affected by this were in the Clarendon, parish of Clarendon, to some extent St. Elizabeth and Manchester. We know that there were reports with respect to implications of storm surge on the coastal areas, particularly the south coast of Jamaica. We were awaiting, as I said, a more detailed damage assessment report from that country. And once that is made available to us, we will certainly push it out through our periodic situation.
Thanks, Ms. Riley. Thanks very much for that comprehensive, those answers for that press conference. I know that you have, I know that you have quite a number of meetings on the ground, and I want to be able to allow you to accommodate that. So we are going to end it here for today. I want to thank you very much. Before you go, Edie, I think there was some information you had regarding the updated needs list. The updated needs list was for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or for both islands?
For both islands, Keith, updated needs lists have been shared.
Right. And that information you can find on the Cdema.org website if you need information to be able to make any items in terms of relief items or to make any financial donations. I really want to thank the members of the media for, as you know, you are partners in this arrangement with Cdema. We really want to thank you for being as cordial as you have been. Mr. Riley, I want to thank you as well very much for making the time, despite how busy you are on the ground. And for members of the public, continue to stay safe and keep good on the ground. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Keith. Good afternoon.